Hey, welcome back to Love at First Write, our little writers and readers coffee clutch. Here I am, right by your side again, just like Annie Lennox here in our theme song, one of my favorite songs, Right by Your Side by the Eurythmics. This is a very, very big song, actually. It's got a big theme, right? Right by your side. It's about give me two strong arms to protect yourself and so much love that I forget myself. And we are all about big themes here and what makes just a story explode and draw a reader in. I've been thinking this week about that, and I've been thinking about how much core beliefs do that for a story and for a character, how important it is for your character to stand for something, to believe in something big, even a villain, right? Because I mean, think about the Joker, which, I think is set to like sweep the Academy Awards, right? There you've got a villain who believes in something big, destruction and anarchy. He's just not out to steal some money. He's out to bring everybody down with him, and that's huge, and it is so compelling. It's one of the many things that makes that a compelling character. And whenever I really talk about core beliefs, I talk about a lot of things on my blog. I write many personal essays about writing, and also about family life and parenting and the creative life, all of these things. But the two themes where I get, such a strong reaction, and from a lot of readers, and from all different kinds of readers, fascinating reactions. Those two themes are love and faith. Now, I don't write about faith very much because I want to be really careful. I have all sorts of people on my, who read my blog and who subscribe to my newsletter, and we talk about everything. It's a really close group, and we talk about very intimate topics, and faith is one of them. But I also want to make sure that I embrace everyone's faith, including the atheist faith. If your faith is non-faith, I'm not there to preach. That's not my interest, and I like to talk about faith because I think it is a very, very fascinating aspect of humanity. So when I do talk about it, I talk about it from that perspective. And very recently, I sent out an essay in my newsletter where I was talking about sort of how difficult a struggle faith is for me, because I am at core, a rational science geek with a serious artistic streak, right? And that for someone with my personality type, faith actually is quite a struggle. And I want to read to you a response I got, because damn, it is just so powerful. And I got a lot of responses actually to that newsletter, but this was the one that just like stuck in my craw, and it was just so fascinating and moving on a variety of levels. Okay, so dear Victoria, thank you for sharing your thoughts about faith. They pretty well parallel my own. I was raised by my very traditional American Indian grandparents in Oklahoma, parents absent. I went into the Marine Corps at 17. I did 3 tours in Vietnam in a force recon company. I was 5 times combat wounded. I got out of the Marines a hardcore alcoholic. I sobered up at the age of 44, and at 47, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer of the esophagus. I underwent a 17-hour surgery and refused chemotherapy and radiation. I was given 6 months to live. When I got out of the hospital and on my feet, I started doing sweat lodges and vision quests. I managed all 4 days of my first Sundance. I followed my medicine man uncle's regimen. I did my last Sundance at the age of 62. I am an ordained medicine man of the, I'm going to butcher this, Muskogee Creek Nation. I got my faith back and a doctorate in applied microbiology. I have made faith and science converge seamlessly in my life. Just a few thoughts and blessings. Signed, I am not even going to attempt to pronounce his Native American name, but it means Sees Through Darkness. That is a novel. You just cannot make that up. Well, you can, but God, that was so moving. And, we wrote back and forth a little bit, and it was just such a wonderful exchange. And, right there is an example of how charismatic a belief system is. That in the case of Sees Through Darkness, it helped him overcome a death sentence and helped him see beyond the pain in his life, the alcoholism, being wounded, war, growing up probably, I assume, on a reservation with maybe a difficult or non-existent relationship with his parents. That's just an amazing, moving, compelling story. And it would not be that compelling without that element of belief. Now, it doesn't, of course, when you're forming your characters, and this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about why, what makes a character truly, riveting and interesting, and a belief system is a huge part of that. It is a huge element of charisma, and it doesn't have to be faith. As I said, the Joker is compelling because he believes in anarchy, right? But it's something that we absolutely must give a thought to, and very, very serious thought to, as we're creating our characters, as we're creating that sort of what is simmering beneath them. Someone very wise once told me, when I was really young, they said, you have to know what you stand for. Otherwise, you won't find people who will stand by you. And I thought that was great advice for a young woman, for one thing, but it's also great advice for a writer, because if you can't figure out, if you have not thought in advance what your characters stand for, who they are, what they would die for, what they live for, what they would risk everything for, then you have a pretty weak character, and it's one that I fear your readers will not connect with, will not want to follow through one book, let alone several books if you're writing a series, right? Particularly if you're writing a series, I think that the architecture of your character's beliefs must be absolutely rock solid. There has to be, you have had to have really thought this through, and perhaps gone over your drafts several times and layered that in, what this character believes in, whether that is literal faith, religious faith, whether that is faith in humanity, whether that is faith in a specific human being or a specific core value, whether that is faith in science and reason, which is, Sherlock Holmes, for instance, right? If it is faith in magic, there are so many things that you can anchor a character's belief system in, depending on the genre that you're writing in, or, if you want to, juxtapose a set of characteristics, in a genre, and have something like, a vampire who is devoutly Christian but happened to become a vampire. Now every time he sees a cross, it's like, oh my God, things like that, which could be, absolutely fascinating if they're done well. And they can be funny, they can be interesting, they can bring a reader in and make them want to be part of your world. So what I am working on this week is layering in that belief system. I have just started the second novel in the big series that I've been writing, which I call the Breath series, because, whoopsie, that's my dog, because the first big book in the novel is called Breath, and it is a fantasy series with romantic elements and historical elements, and takes place all throughout time, as my characters, die and are born again and have to find one another in each life, all while solving this mystery that spans thousands of years, and all of humanity is at stake, right? And so the first book, which is coming out in May, I believe May 15th. It's either May 15th or May 19th. I'll have to double check. It's launching, And that first book, takes place in their very first life in pre-Sumerian times, 6,000 years ago. And the second book that I have started writing, I've storyboarded it, and I am on chapter 3. And that takes place in Cairo in 1902. And it is just so delicious to write. But what has been so fascinating about writing this time around, it has been putting together this belief structure and in making it come alive. And in my case, I'm dealing with Egyptian nationalism and Coptic Christianity as it was in 1902. And those two things were very, very powerful forces in 1902. And it is absolutely fascinating to me to watch how they affect my characters, especially since my characters have their core selves, because they are born over and over again. So they are, they are core characters, but then each life they're born into also influences them and adds to them. And that is something that I am really only in the beginning stages of in this second book. And it is absolutely thrilling. So anyway, I hope that you all are take this with you into your writing or into your reading this week. And I will see you again next week quite happily, or the week after, whenever it is that we reconvene. It's usually about once every 2 weeks now. Bye.